VR now allows you to sell your experiences to others. Which memories would you put up for sale? Swimming with seals was exactly as cool as you would imagine it to be. Bro, ask Bin Laden. Being around seals isn't fun. My dad telling me how proud of me he is. Edit. I want you all to know I may not be your father, but I can be your daddy. And I want you to know how proud I am of all of you. This is something lots of people need to experience but never will. I had to put my childhood pup to sleep when I was in 6th grade. A few months later I had a vivid dream playing with him and having as much fun as possible cause I knew he had to leave again soon. It was a great way to say goodbye. Edit. Thank you for the gold, kind strangers. The replies to this are all so beautiful and they all show how important family pets are in the losses we face eventually. Everyone gets to say their goodbyes in many ways, even if it's not face to face. Bro, you're not just gonna make us all cry like that. The fuck? Crying is healthy, bro. I'd share the best concert I ever played with my old band. It was a super fun night and we got really good reception. We were never even moderately big, but that was the biggest we felt. I'm not one to live in the past, but man, I crave that feeling every now and then. I think there'd be a real market for sporting victories. The rush of winning a big race game in the midst of the total agony of giving every last ounce of effort is a unique euphoria. I think people would pay handsomely to experience that. Or the opposite. Like if I was Bill Buckner, I would sell my Miss Grounder memory and people would be like, damn, that did take a weird hop. I sat next to Quentin Tarantino in a theater at one of the first screenings of the Edgar Wright movie The World's End, and for the subsequent Q&A with Wright, Peg and Frost, he was very animatedly laughing and loving it the entire time. As a movie dork, that was a pretty once-in-a-lifetime experience. I met this girl when we were both youth camp counselors over one summer. I asked her out after the first week was over. We went out a few times. Then we took a picnic up a nearby canyon and just kind of lazed about on a big old blanket from my parents' house. I decided it was time for a DTR. Define the relationship. I asked her, hey, so I'm in, like, total likeage with you here. How are you feeling? I'm in total likeage with you, too. Quote, she became my girlfriend. I would share that moment when she said she liked me back using the same awkward, dorky language I used. Then we just laid on the blanket, held hands, and stared at the clouds together for about an hour. Pure bliss. We've now been married for 11 years and have 4 amazing kids together and are currently building our dream house. Can I VR into your whole life, please? My dreams. Last night I befriended a serial killer and just evaded being murdered the whole. Drea, monsieur, get your popcorn. Snorkeling in Hinoma Bay in Hawaii. Initially, my wife and I went with the intent of staying an hour or two, having a picnic while we dried off, then hiking up Diamond Head. I felt like a kid again looking at all the pretty fish. My wife got out first and I just did not want to stop. We decided to come back again on one of our last days and spend all day there. Damn, that was a good day. I'd buy that. The day we went they closed the beach due to all the jellyfish breeding. Sad face. Fucking jellyfish. Dying and coming back to life after 4 minutes of being clinically deceased. Truly an experience. Can we get a free trial version? No problem, but you only get 50% of the experience. Asterisk having a snowball fight at the North Pole while standing next to nuclear submarine. Asterisk attending a cookout atop of the same submarine while traversing the Panama Canal. Asterisk scuba diving in Gua Monsieur. Asterisk snow skiing black diamonds in Jackson Hole. Navy will buy the first 2 for advertising. I would sell a typical day of me walking through my city. It would allow people to see what life is like from the perspective of a dwarf. You'd get to see how it feels when everyone and everything towers over you, and experience how inaccessible so many places are. And of course, How much unwanted attention you get from strangers. The photographs taken of you. The pointing, staring in comments. Maybe schools could use it to help kids empathize with people who are different. The time I went to a paranormal circus. It was fantastic. A red and black tent popped up in the mall parking lot overnight and advertised a weekend-long paranormal circus. I couldn't find anyone to go with me, so I went by myself. It was so much fun. They had zombie nurses running the snack stand. Light-up creepy masks and costumes for sale. Everyone was dressed like dark steampunk. When they opened the gates to get into the main tent, we had to go through an area with open cages to signify that monsters had been let out or something. I got directed to my seat by a lady, and as I walked down the corridor to the main tent, a man with underbite fangs in a jungle cannibal-style costume started chasing after me with a chainsaw. Haha. Hey, that's one way to get people in. When I got there, I had semi-front row seating. Not right at the stage, but the row behind those. Right on the walkway near the action and face-to-face with the performers. Chainsaw Dude apparently liked me because he jumped on the seat next to mine and yelled out the show was starting. There were nicely dressed vampires handing out light-up cups full of slushies and bags of cotton candy. Why no, the good stuff. Then a hooded dude with a demon's voice came on stage and announced that if anyone there was scared of the dark to leave then and there. Well, with that the show began, and a tiny clown in blood-stained clothes came on the stage. The rest of the show was amazing. Scares, stunts, girls in spiked boxes escaping, people in boxes being set on fire, creepy mimes, people being volunteered to perform questionable acts. At one point, one guy was doing flips on this huge spinning rod in the air and almost fell twice. I'll admit, I screamed. 11 tenths would go back again. But it was a one-time random thing in our small town. Sounds like the Night Circus. You'd probably enjoy that book. Not as wild as some of the others, but I'd sell the memory of a summer I had when I was 16. My parents were away and I had the apartment to myself for an entire summer. There were two huge groups of friends I hung out with, among whom were a few real, solid buddies that I'd known my whole life and a few others less permanent but very cool and funny individuals. My best friend and I dated a pair of best friends. And while I liked my girl enough, I wasn't head over heels. And so had fun without any of the ensuing drama. She felt more or less the same way. The weekends were basically 48 hours of non-stop partying and hanging out. Feels like I saw the sunrise every day. Not a fucking care in the world. I think about it a lot now. Decades later. I've got a great family and a good job. But man, do I miss that Frito monsieur. All the times I banged 10 out of 10 super hot chicks. People will quickly ask for a refund when they get just a black screen. Mine would just show up's mom. My first DMT trip, and I would buy it from myself so I could remember it better. I'm surprised more of these answers aren't drug experiences. This scenario is a great workaround for a lot of issues surrounding drugs. Drugs aren't legal. Just by the experience. Can't find drugs, don't know people? Just by the experience. Want to try meth but don't want to get addicted and ruin your body? Just by the experience. Already doing drugs but your tolerance is too high? Just by the experience. Yeah, but a big part of drugs is the feelings in your body. Just looking at the effects through a headset wouldn't do them justice. When my daughter was 3, dressed in a snow-white costume watering the flowers in our garden and talking to the flowers. My overall best memory. The only thing I would care to remember when I die. It brings tears to my eyes just by mentioning it. Dude, I was never an emotional guy until I had a daughter. The other night she was sleeping on my chest, woke up in a daze. Stared straight into my eyes with a little smile for a few seconds. Said, "I love you, Daddy." Then fell back asleep. I thought about it later that night and just broke down in tears. I'll never forget that moment. The video game career experience. All the marketing material for this experience would make it sound fun. Talking about how you can live your dream job through VR, creating awesome games for people all around the world. You start playing the experience. For the first few hours it's bliss and everything seems great. Then after the first few hours something seems off. Your bosses are mentally abusive. Work conditions decline. Your estimates are cut in half and deadlines are impossible to hit. Your community bashes you, sends you death threats, and flames you for decisions that were made above your head in which you have zero input. I think this is the natural progression of video games. 1980s to you paid quarters to play games. 1990s to you bought a system to play physical games. 2000s to mostly still 90s shit, but you also downloaded games. 2010s to physical games start to go away. You download, stream games. But there's a huge rise in watching people play the games. 2020s to you pay into a Patreon to watch game developers struggle to make a game. 2030s to watching machines make the iPhone 50 is all the rage. 2020s to there are a number of indie game devs that do this already and have been for some time. The day I, a grown-ass adult man, hid in the back corner of a gas station parking lot, leaning against the rear wheel of my car, crying as softly as I could to myself for 5 to 10 minutes. It won't sell well, but I'll at least have a handy reference of how lonely, isolated, sad, and pathetic I felt at that time and many others besides. But that one stands out as a low point among low points. So it's the one that gets used. Some people have never been there, never will be, and as a result, I don't believe they can ever understand what it's like. It's not their fault they have people who love and support them. Nor is it their fault that, as a result, they haven't had that first-hand experience. But now they can at least see what it's like. This is heartbreaking. Might I ask what built up to that moment? Drop his corn dog. Sex with Up's mom, obviously. Ah, everyone's got a memory of that. Probably combat-related trauma. I'm good without it. Figure there is probably some Halo-playing dumpshit who thinks it would be cool to experience real life combat without having to actually enlist. Have at it, bro. People feel fucking scandalized when they learn that despite being proud of my service I actively try to persuade people not to join. Free healthcare and a few neat stories about almost dying aren't worth the constant struggle with suicidal ideation and addiction that came with it. I've seen more than 100 bands live. I'd probably share those. My favorite band had me get up and play drums with them this year. I was like 15 and I pretty much nailed it. As a musician it's a once-in-a-lifetime that everyone dreams of. Holding my 2 pounds preemie daughter for the first time. Want a fresh perspective on life? That'll give you one. Wow, that's small. Did she make it okay? Less than 3. She's about to turn 7. Is healthier than me, though. I'm a guy in his 40s. So take that as you will. And it's the cutest thing ever. I'm pretty sure she has an internal nuclear reactor since she has more energy than the sun. Her mom and I have a hard time keeping up. The only physical side effects are that she's still pretty small for a 6'0". And she had vision issues, which is very common for kids in her position. She just has to wear glasses. She stayed 6 weeks in the NICU, coming home at just shy of 5 pounds. Her premature birth was due to health issues my wife has. I still had to face the very real possibility of having to choose between them if something went pear-shaped before she was born. But thankfully I never had to make that decision. This moment in time is the beginning to the movie Strange Days. I came here to find a reference to Strange Days, hiking the Appalachian Trail, for an educational purpose. All my memories of being abused so that others may learn what the signs are, to better understand how to escape before it gets dangerous too. My first memory. I was less than 2 years old back in India. My uncle came to my village. I packed all my stuff from the daycare center and ran towards our house screaming, "Mera Mama." Uncle from the mother's side. Agaya. My uncle is here. I'd like for people to see where I grew up and experience how it looked in rural India. 90s. Plus I'd like to revisit everything once in a while because a lot has changed in that exact place. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.